Class of 1989, welcome back to campus. Our 35th reunion is just 7 months away, and we wanted to give you a taste of Stanford. And so today I'm joined by a special guest who you'll know well. It's my great honor to reintroduce to you our former Dean of Admissions, Jean Fetter.
Hello, class of 1989. What a joy to be reunited, and thank you, Parag, for that opportunity. I can't believe it's 35 years since I said goodbye to you at the senior class lunch. But here is where it all began. The second floor of the old Union, where my dedicated, hard-working staff and I spent 3 months reading your 17,000 plus applications.
That was a while back, but those 17,000 applications, what do you remember about the class of 89 from that?
The remarks I made at your senior class lunch in June of 1989. You remember you were asked in one essay to choose an adjective that described you. And this is what you said: catalytic, cocky, kaleidoscopic, omniphilistic and off the wall, avant-garde and ambidextrous, rhythmic and romantic, spunky, synergistic and hyperactive, huggable and user-friendly, abnormal, idiosyncratic and eccentric. I went on to say that your class included Rhodes, Marshall and Truman scholars, RAs, TAs and AAs, award-winning writers and researchers, members of an orchestra that made its first tour to the Far East, leaders in student government, NCAA championship members galore, Olympic medalists and future professional athletes, coordinators of powwows, conferences and balls, directors, singers and dancers in Gaieties, Counterpoint, Fleet Street Singers, Mendicants, Ballet Folklorico and Dorm musicals.
Those were the days. Well, hopefully we lived up to that billing from back then. Dean, thank you very much. Good to see you in your old environment again. All right, class of 1989, we are now outside Building 10, the office of the president. And, you know, for most of us, we think of Dean Jean in that 4-year window, but her career was almost 30 years long at Stanford. And one of the things she did outside of admissions was work in the office of the president with our very own Donald Kennedy. And as we all know, he was our president all 4 or 5 years that we were here. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about your time in the office of the president.
Well, that was also a wonderful job. Just before you came to Stanford, I was the assistant to President Richard Lyman, who then went off to be president of the Rockefeller Foundation. After Don Kennedy stepped down, I worked also in that office for 3 years for President Gerhard Casper. In the time you were here, 85 to 89, Don Kennedy, my official boss, was your president. He was beloved as a teacher in human biology. I often stood with him on the sidelines at the football game. He was an avid sports fan, much beloved as the president of Stanford.
During your time as Dean of Admissions, what would you say was one of the biggest challenges you had to navigate?
The biggest challenge was determining the composition of the freshman class at Stanford. And this is particularly relevant in 2024, when the Supreme Court has intervened in college admissions nationwide. This is a university, and the primary criterion has to be academic achievement. Then you have to worry about achievements outside the class in addition to athletics. Art, music, drama, dance, public service, all of those were incorporated in the profile of the applicant to Stanford. Then you have to worry about what should be the male-female ratio. What about ethnic diversity, socioeconomic diversity?
So continuing our tour of Stanford, we're now at the athletics complex right outside of Maples Pavilion, the day after the women's basketball team got into the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament by beating Iowa State in overtime. Quite a big day for Stanford yesterday.
Very exciting.
And Dean Jean is too modest to say it, but she actually played basketball while studying at Oxford, where she earned a doctorate in philosophy in physics. And not only that, but Tara Vanderveer, who set a record for the most wins in basketball by an NCAA coach this year, started her career at Stanford the same time we arrived.
Tara appeared in my office going through a round of interviews, and I asked her the obvious question, so if you got this job, Tara, what would your goals be? And at this point, you have to remember 1985, the women's basketball team was in the bottom of the Pac-10 as it was then. And Tara said, well, in my first year, the middle of the Pac-10, then we'll win the Pac-10. Then soon after that, we'll go to the NCAA playoffs, and then we'll win the NCAA playoffs. And amazingly, she did everything and more that you could ask.
Well, Dean, I want to thank you for joining us today and being so generous with your time. You are clearly an iconic part of our experience, so thanks again.
Thank you, Parag. It's been an honor to talk to you all again. The very best first class I ever admitted to Stanford, and hope to see you back on campus in October.
So class of 1989, hope you've enjoyed our reminiscence and walk around campus with one of the iconic figures of our time. And I think this is what makes Stanford what it is. It's a thriving institution whose spirit continues, the spirit that you knew so well for those 4 and 5, sometimes 5 years. And I just want to say that we're looking forward to a big reunion event. We hope all of you can come on campus and enjoy these beautiful sights. And we'll try to get some of our favorite icons to join us in that time. I also want to say that our class is known for its participation rates. In fact, we set a record for the most reunion participation at our 15th, and that record hasn't been broken yet, and we're already off to a great start. It would be great if all of us, everyone could participate either by attending or donating in whatever fashion you feel appropriate. Go Stanford!